Hello, welcome to Grandma B's Busy Life. I'm Brenda, and on my channel I share cooking, budget shopping, frugal ideas, and other things that come up in my life. So if you're new here and are not familiar with my channel and like those kind of videos, consider subscribing. Today we are doing a video response to a video that I saw on the Kneady Homesteader. A sweetened condensed milk bread. What? It looked so good, and she called out to her viewers to try it. So I'm trying it in response to that video. I will link her channel below. If you like bread videos, cooking videos, she has some amazing stuff. Let's start. I have 1 cup of warmed milk. I warmed it just above room temperature so that when my yeast goes in, it will rise. And I'm going to do 2.5 teaspoons of instant yeast. This is equivalent to 1 package. But you know me, I'm too frugal to buy it that way. See that? I spilled yeast everywhere. I'm going to leave it for now. Oh my. Please tell me I'm not the only one who does that. What? Alright. To the milk and yeast, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm just going to give that a little stir just to get the yeast dissolving. And I'm going to just set this aside for now and give it a chance to work its magic. My yeast has been sitting for about 5 minutes, so now I'm going to whisk in an egg into this yeast mixture. Just to break up the egg a little bit. Alright, looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, to the mixture I also want to add 1/4 cup of my sweetened condensed milk. Oh my gosh, this stuff is so amazing. Okay, now I'm going to add 3.5 cups of flour. Sorry, that's 3.25 cups flour. This is 1/8 of a cup, so I'm going to do 2 of them. Now I'm going to add salt, 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to let it run till a ball forms in the dough, and I'm going to bring you in close to watch. Sometimes you do have to stop it and scrape down the sides just to make sure it gets all incorporated really well. And all of this flour will get incorporated in, I promise. Doesn't look very hopeful right now, does it? All right, now all of the flour is mixed in, but it still has clumps on it and it's not forming a ball. This is the first time I've made it, so I'm hoping that this is correct. She did say it was a very sticky dough, so I'm going to leave it like this. Now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of butter, softened butter, and you're going to let this mix in for 5 to 7 minutes. You'll see that it'll be hard for the butter to mix in the beginning. Just give it time, it will work. It looks like it's not really doing anything, so I'm going to scrape it down and give it a little coaxing here. Oh, that dough is really building up. I thought it was much more runny than that, but it's not. It's a good dough in there. I don't often make sweet breads. My cinnamon roll recipe is a sweet bread recipe, but other than that, I don't really make them, so let's see what happens here. 5 to 7 minutes. Well, that's better. Now it's working it in. Still big clumps of butter, but I'm going to give it 5 to 7 minutes. All right, it has mixed for 5 minutes. Now I'm going to put it in my bowl to rise. All right, in my bowl I'm just going to put a little bit of oil just to keep the bread from struggling to rise. It'll slide up the side of the bowl easily that way. Let's see how this dough looks. I'm curious because it looks very wet, but all of the times that I stirred it down and scraped the sides, it seemed like it was forming a nice stretchy dough. So let's see what happens. Oh yes! Look, it's all coming out nice and neatly. Almost one ball. It's very stretchy. But it is, I can tell that it's formed some glutinous strands, so that is awesome. I'm going to try and gingerly flip this over so that there's oil on all sides. The other thing that oil does is it keeps it from getting dried out. I always use a bandana to cover mine. Let me get it wet here. So I get it wet and then wring it out, and I use a bandana because it's best to use a towel that doesn't have fuzzies on it. You know how most towels have those little loops? And I found when I use those, as my bread rises, it sticks to the towel and then I have little towel bits in my bread. Gross, right? So I use a bandana because it doesn't have fuzzies. I'm going to put this in my oven with the light on for about an hour to an hour and a half. Don't turn the oven on, just turn the light on. That adds a little heat to the oven, keeps that heat in there, and helps your dough rise a lot faster. All right, the dough has risen, about double in size. Now I'm going to roll it out. I'm just going to start with a little bit of flour on the board. I don't want to add too much because I want to keep it nice and soft. It's really, really soft. I could probably work in quite a bit of flour and it would be just fine. Very, very soft. I just want to make sure it's not going to stick to my board. I'm going to press this out similar to what I do when I make my cinnamon rolls. That was my second video I ever made. I can link it at the end cards for you. And supposedly this makes 2 loaves. So let's see. Break it in half. I'll set this aside. And she rolled it out nice and thin. I'm sure it doesn't have to be perfect. And then she just, goodness, it's sticking. Bench scraper to the rescue. And then she just rolled it up nice and tight. Then she cut it into 8 pieces. Interesting because she cuts it into 8 pieces and then puts it in the pan in those same pieces. Okay, I'm going to just spray each of the pans. A little bit of spray. And then take these 8 pieces and put them in the pan in the exact same order. I tipped that one over. That they were in. When I first watched her video, I thought, why is she doing that? That doesn't even make sense. But you should see how it turned out. It was super cute. Okay, so they're in the pan. Nothing fancy, but I'm going to put it back in the oven with the light on, still turned off, and cover it with my bandana. I'm going to do the same thing with this piece of dough. I'm going to put a little more flour under though, so it doesn't stick. And get it in the pan. Oh my goodness, look at these. They are so cute. I'm just going to take an egg and I'm going to add a little water to it and whisk it up. I'm going to just coat each one with an egg wash, a good solid coat of egg wash to give it a nice, beautiful crust. Okay, now it's going to bake at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. While it's baking, I'm going to mix up the glaze. It's a 1/4 cup of the sweetened condensed milk and 3 tablespoons of softened butter. All right, that looks good. I'm going to put it on the bread when the bread is nice and hot. I just took them out of the oven. Look how cute they look. They smell amazing. And while it's still hot, I want to put the glaze on. I did put waxed paper underneath because I'm too lazy to wipe the counter off. I just want to throw the waxed paper away afterwards. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I've never thought of using sweetened condensed milk for a glaze, but it makes sense. You put milk and sugar in a glaze. Why not just use it? Oh my goodness. You guys, it looks so good. It smells so good. There we go. All right, I'm going to let it cool a little bit before I cut into it. I'm so excited though. It looks so good. All right, I'm going to cut it and try it. Oh, it's very soft. Ooh, look at that. Kind of has a yellowish color. That's probably from having that egg in it. Ew, yummy, yummy. Okay, let me try a little piece. That's really good. The glaze is really good. But it's a very sweet, soft dough, but not overly sweet. It'd be really good with some jam and butter on it. Ooh, so good. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you again soon.